You're listening to the Young Talk podcast by First Church Young Adults.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Young Talk podcast. Today, as usual, we have Sharon, Brandon, and Paris. And today we're just going to talk about music, different aspects of, secular, gospel, maybe with different thoughts on that. So, to start out with the question for y'all, who's y'all's favorite, some of y'all's favorite artists and type of music?
If we're talking apostolic, Mark Crowder, 110%. The Faith Over Fear album, come on. Straight fire. Straight fire.
I'm basic. I love Maverick City music.
Maverick City?
Their songs are so long. I love them, but they are long.
But I appreciate their artistry so much. They'll do like a retreat, like a writing retreat, and just sit down and write all kinds of songs, and then that's what creates their album. I mean, they have how many Grammys? I don't know. I love their music, and it's almost their stuff is very poetic to me. Not as poetic as like Hillsong. Some of their stuff, I really have to think about their lyrics. Like, whoa, what are they saying?
Oh yeah.
I love Maverick City. I love like turning on like YouTube on my TV and like watching their music videos and stuff.
They mainly kind of cover some songs that we already know, but so maybe this doesn't even count. I'll let y'all be the judge of that. I've been listening to Deeper Worship, that band, that group.
You sent me something the
I
other
don't
day.
know what that is.
So good.
I'm telling you.
Wait, okay, what church are they?
That's a good question.
Is it William McDowell's
Yeah,
church?
I think part of that band is from William McDowell. They're singers and stuff. Yeah, I think it's
so good. Too.
Oh man.
Now, if you're listening, put out some new stuff.
Seriously.
Did y'all see the Instagram post with Kirk Franklin, the Jonas Brothers, and John Bellion? How they're all like doing something together?
John
I was like,
Bellion?
Kirk Franklin, what you doing out here?
What do you know about John Bellion?
What do you know about John Bellion?
I only know
I
of
love
him.
John Bellion. His lyrics, are you kidding me? Insane.
Oh, is he? I heard he's supposed to be like very very creative with his.
Well, I haven't.
I don't know. I'm curious.
The only two songs I know by him is like "Stupid Deep" and "All Time Low." I mean, they're just the most famous two. I'm not like a diehard fan or anything.
I had a friend who like really loved his music, but I was like, man, I don't get it. Like, it's great, but I don't.
You don't get the hype. If we're talking about like all-time musically inclined favorite artist, Ryan Tedder, and y'all know One Republic.
Oh, yes.
Wherever I go, there's a shadow of you.
Yes.
Anyway.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Dude, this dude is, what do they call him? Oh my goodness. Ghostwriters. He's like the number one ghostwriter. He writes for Taylor, Adele. He's written like half of Adele's songs. We saw him at the rodeo a couple of years ago. Plays every instrument you could ever think of.
Of course.
And guess what? He grew up in the church. Of course.
Yeah.
It's always those people.
Yep.
You can tell sometimes, like secular artists, if you're listening to them, like, I know you sang at church before. I know you grew up in church.
All the ideas and stuff.
Yes.
Like you had some type of inspiration. You're very soulful. Like talent-wise, Tori Kelly.
Oh, killer vocals.
I mean, oh
Tori,
my gosh.
she's
Songs with her.
She's
I'll
with
Find
Torin
You.
all the time too. Torin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the one you talking about? I'll Find You?
Yeah.
So I actually watched a video with her supposedly being sick, and she sang it on Good Morning America. And like she had this, so same tone and everything, but it was heavier because she did have a cold.
She had a little rasp.
It rasped, and I was like, I was with my sister, and I was like, "There's no way she's sick." I mean, I can tell it's heavier, but like she was killing it. It sounded better to me with the heavier, raspy.
She went on. What was it? Did she go on American Idol?
Yeah, I think it might have been
Simon Cowell.
The Voice.
One of those. I
don't
know one of the judges. I think it was Simon Cowell. Was like not into her at all.
Really?
Yes.
I think I remember her getting some kind of negative vibes from him, his comments. No, but I don't see why. I mean, she's successful now, so it really doesn't.
She is. She has that. I don't know if you consider it like a gospel album, but she has like a Christian album that's really, really good. Have you heard it?
I don't think I have. To be honest, I've fallen off on a lot of things music, but so
Yeah,
I'm
she has some
struggle
really
through
good
this
stuff.
podcast.
Mike, I have a question for your workout playlist. What's your
Oh.
your
Do you
Christian
see
rap?
that little E?
Who do
on
you-
The,
Stay away from the eat. No. What's like? Who's my artist in there? I have a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's so many like underground like Christian hip hop artists that.
which I feel like
Okay.
is so underrated.
It is
Yep.
underrated.
People dog on Christian rap, Christian
Yes.
hip hop. It's
Well, there's some
good.
good- there's some good
they only
ones.
point out like the more mainstream ones.
Yeah,
like
they'll be
McCrae,
like,
and
yeah.
Dominio,
Right.
Exactly.
NF, like all these like. I'm like, bro,
You need
that's
to do
why,
your research,
Yes, bro.
yeah,
Like, there's so
there's-
many underground, and they're talented.
Okay, so who's your favorite? Who's your go-to guy for underground, like the underground
Oh,
artist?
If it's rap for Christian.
I'm gonna say Mission.
I ain't never heard of it.
Okay, put me on.
His lyrics, like it's just. But nah, I'm gonna say Mission, y'all. And then
Okay.
some underground people like do y'all know Caleb Gordon? No, he's from Florida, but Caleb Gordon and Mike Teasy. Like I was listening to them before they kind of like blew up. Now they're kind of they're more like on TikTok and like doing all these things that kind of going mainstream. But yeah, I would say like my stuff is a mix. It's not just like one specific artist. But my first one was obviously like Lecrae because he's the more no one. Speaking of, I went to his concert last night and it was
You went last night?
it was fire.
Wait, he was here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. But
No way.
Huh? Yeah, it was him, Elevation Rhythm. They're not all that.
What?
oh, Elevation
Dope.
Rhythm,
Dope
yeah.
Cam and Dope, she can sing. bro.
Oh yes, she can.
Who's
sing.
that?
She's up
Dope.
there with like Tori
She sings
Kelly.
the Broken People song.
Yes.
Oh.
But nah,
She's
she
so
can sing.
good.
And I liked her vibe because it was more like acoustic and the box drum. And she just had the guitar. She was just
She's very talented.
singing. I was like,
Oh,
man.
why did we miss it? Josh?
Yeah, I
You say
did
I
not
had baby shower.
know.
Yeah, we did have.
Oh,
baby.
your own
that's
baby
more
shower
important.
for that matter.
But yeah, no, it was cool because like we were real close. Like literally, like he was from here. Like we was on the thing. But
So it was an intimate.
it was at the
setting?
same church as last time with the Unashamed tour. That we went
Oh,
to. It was the
yes.
same one. So yeah, but it was like less people obviously. But no, it was dope. But
That's amazing.
yeah, I got into Christian hip hop probably because of him, and from there I just kind of explored this because I knew like. Because a part of that too, like I used to listen to like explicit music and like secular
Right.
rap. So when I got more serious with God, I'm like, you know,
You have to
obviously, like,
find.
I'm not like it's not like a replacement or like whatever, but it's just like the art of the music. Like,
Yeah,
it's just,
the hip-hop.
especially like I'm into
Yeah.
like working out and stuff, so I need
Yeah.
something that's gonna hype me up.
Yeah,
You know
not
what I'm
you
saying?
ain't trying to go to the altar at that. You know,
I
you
can't.
know.
I ain't going to jog, listen to So Will I. Like, come on now.
I'm gonna cry, so
Oceans.
it's just, I just had to find something, and I was like, you know, like God, like help me find something that I could listen to, you know. So I just started exploring, you know, just trying to find different artists.
Maybe we should put Micah's workout playlist in the link below.
Ooh.
He's
I have to go through.
he's gonna.
Nah, it's pretty long. I have a few, but yeah, I would say that like Christian hip hop and gospel were like my go-to like genres. And yeah.
I even love Spanish hip hop.
That is new. I've never.
I don't
heard that.
understand Spanish, even though I look like it, but I don't understand it.
I don't
but
understand it, but that beat gets me every time.
It's like it makes you want to like salsa or something.
It's so good.
But to define, like, I just wanted to talk about today in this main episode, just about like, what does the Bible say about music or listening to music? Music has many purposes. In the Bible, we discover people singing and playing instruments to praise God in their worship, right? So music can do many things with emotions, spiritually. In Ephesians 5:19, it says, speaking to yourselves in songs and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord. So my question to y'all, like I know as musicians and singers, what impact does music have on people like spiritually?
I feel like music is very powerful.
Very.
I typically try to start my day with, you know, a worship playlist or whatever. Like I'll just put it on my speaker in my house, and it's just there's something about it that starting your day off like that is so amazing.
Yep.
Like, and we've all listened to secular music.
Yeah.
We're not gonna sit here and lie and be like, oh, we strictly listen to
Right,
it.
right.
No, like, and the thing is, when you hear secular music and things that are, you know, talking about sex, drugs, and alcohol, like you feel it, like you feel,
Yeah.
it has an effect on you.
Yeah, I think that music is very vital. I mean, we know from when Saul was overtaken by evil spirit, it was David that played music to, for that spirit to leave him. So we know from that point we know that music and instruments, there is a power to it. There is something that's greater beyond what we see that happens. But especially church settings and stuff, when God moves, through music. So how much more, the devil tries to influence in the worldly secular,
Yeah.
music as well. There's influences there too.
Yeah.
So
And also at the root, I mean, God gave us the gift of singing because, I mean, the Bible talks about angels don't sing. God gave us humans singing to worship him, to glorify him. So I think at the very beginning of it all, God designed music to elevate him, elevate worship. And obviously, because Satan was the god of music, or not the god, sorry, the, what's the word I'm trying to find?
He was over all of the music.
Right. He was, it's just not the god. Who am I, bro? I said God. No, literally. Literally, he was. Oh my word! No, he was the leader of music, and so obviously, whenever he, was cast out of heaven, he has used that to manipulate and be twisted. When originally it was designed for us to glorify God. So it's very, very important. Now, I'm not going to sit here and also say that like I'll be listening to my jazz music, my R&B sometimes,
yes,
So I feel like also it's important to find, like, you don't have to, I don't know. For me personally, I don't strictly only listen to Christian music 24/7. I'm not going to sit here and say that I do. But obviously, you have to draw a line at some point, because if you're listening to rap all the time, you're going to become so easily numbed out to hearing these things, like Sharon said, sex, drugs, all these things. You're going to be so numb to it. And it gets to a point where it's just like that's the norm for you. So it definitely has a power over your life.
I personally don't have an issue with positive music that's not necessarily by an artist that has lived this perfect lifestyle, or this lifestyle as some of the I'll just say this, some of the worship artists, they
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying they can get it twisted too.
Right.
We've been seeing some things about some artists lately. I don't know if y'all want to get into that, but they want to go this route and do this. So I believe there's also just the same. There's artists that have put out some pretty positive music. It may not have his name in it. It might not have read your Bible and get the Holy Ghost and as part of the lyrics. But there's some pretty positive music out there that I don't have an issue with at all.
Yeah.
I really
I would
don't.
say too, like on the spiritual side, like music definitely does have an impact. I feel like on the spiritual side of things, right, from what we were talking about. But for that, I guess my question to y'all would be like, as Brandon was answering, like for one, like Paris was saying, should we only listen to gospel music labeled as, or should we, as Christians, should we only listen to like a certain type of music? And what is like secular music or explicit music? And would you say like after defining that, would you say it's a sin to listen to that?
Ooh.
For me, like, I would love to say that I know I only listen to, Christian gospel music. But, like you said, I love positive, fun music.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that personally. But that's where a conviction comes in.
Right.
That they listen to secular, explicit music, and they were like, no, I can't do this anymore. Like this is something that I struggle with. And then they're like, any music I listen to is only going to be, uplifting, glorifying God. So I think that's where, where you need to make that decision for yourself. And I could be wrong. I could be very, very wrong. But what do you guys think?
You asked what is the definition of secular music? I think secular music is just music that doesn't specifically glorify God. And like we have all been saying, like there's secular music that's positive. So I wouldn't define secular music as all bad.
Yeah.
But there's explicit music too.
Yeah.
There's a difference between secular, explicit, obviously.
Yeah. What makes me know that music is so powerful is that the devil has so much control over it that, even if you watch like the Grammys or whatever. It's like,
Dude.
oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
it's just in your face. So
Yep.
that's how you when there's so much evil in something, even just arts in general. Like that's how you know, like it's very powerful. It's very, very powerful.
I mean, like Pastor Tyler was talking about in a sermon, look at the top 10 songs in the U.S. right now, or globally for that. I mean, it sees you can see all the influence that music has.
Yeah.
And it worries me that we've become numb to it. I mean, have you ever like watched a movie by yourself and you watch it with someone else and then you're like, man, I didn't even realize like how much cussing was in this. Or, like, man, I didn't realize that bad part was in this movie.
Yes.
And it's like, we have to be aware of the things that we're putting into our minds and stuff because wow, it's easy to get numb to that kind of stuff.
And I think for me too, like kind of answering all the questions that I was asking, like personally, like about secular and this and that I feel like that's something that like more specifically like explicit music, though, like explicit rap, because that was like my main thing.
Yeah.
I feel like God delivered me from that because of how much negativity and worldly things and the agenda that it was pushing.
Yeah.
Right. So on the spiritual side, like around 18 or like end of high school, that's when God started to reveal these things to me, and then people wonder why, like, man, I'm struggling with lust, I'm struggling with drinking, going out, partying, like all these different sins, and they feel like they can't find, like, why am I struggling with this? Why is my number one God money? Like, why am I striving to have all materialistic things? It's because that's what the rap, mostly rap, like, was pushing, like, the agenda was pushing, like, money, sex, drugs, girls, like, all these like materialistic things, and it was completely godless.
Yeah.
So me personally, like I stay away from that stuff, like especially like explicit rap and any type of rap that's worldly. On the other hand, like you were saying, like I feel like there's different like secular music, like jazz, like love music.
Right.
You know? But at the same time, you have to have like surround with like discernment or judgment. Like, all right, if I'm single and not married, should I really be listening to a love song? Like, should I really be listening to like, like, it's just, you have to like have that type of like discernment. Like personally, like with jazz and stuff, like I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. There's different secular music that's like that doesn't have God in it, but it can still be positive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to explicit, like I try to stay away from it because you have to like what is this artist trying to push? Like, are you actually listening to the lyrics? Or is it just a beat?
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I struggle with a lot.
That's good too.
So what do you have to say? Because obviously you've been on the flip side of it. What do you say to people who are like, I just like the beat. This is just like a good song. This is a good beat. It doesn't change my mindset. It doesn't. What do you have to say to that?
I would say, because there's been like, even at college, like there's been multiple like Christians that I run to, and they just, that's probably the number one thing they listen to is like secular music, explicit rap. Like, and it's just like, they don't see a problem with it because they also listen to worship music. You know, it's a balanced life. But to me personally, like I would say it's not a good thing, because like for me, like it's much like it's more a spiritual thing, right? And when you realize, like, people don't realize just because of the beat, if you actually like, I would say listen to the lyrics or read the lyrics and like
reading
look at this person's lifestyle, because so many things can be transferable like spiritually, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you realize, like, after I like got delivered from that stuff, I did more research on like a few artists and videos I'd watched, and it's like all these different like spiritual things that pop up, like people selling their soul and how they got so famous and all these type of things, and I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Like, and it'd be mostly like mainstream artists. Like, I don't want to like call any artists out,
call them
like,
out.
Even with like, all right, like for example, like with Travis Scott or Drake, like all these mainstream artists that are so popular, like not all of them, but most of them, like Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, like all these people, like there's just different signs that they're kind of like pushing this agenda. Like for example, Travis Scott, he had a music video out where he was like baptizing people.
Oh,
like, they come up, they're like
up.
worshiping him. You know what I'm saying? And like with Drake, like it's like a lot deeper. Like if you want to do research, obviously people can do research, but it's a lot deeper than what the song is pushing. Like what is their agenda? What is their lifestyle? Because like for Drake, example, like people are like, oh, Drake's cool. Like he's a pop artist. Like he's got a vibey songs. Like, but when you really dive into all these different things that he's like representing, like the OVO brand that he has, like the origin of OVO is like from this person named Aleister Crowley, where she was like the most famous satanic person probably to live, and I never read the book, but I've heard about it. It's called 777.
Yeah, yeah.
And basically the book is about like how you can worship Satan to get
Yeah,
to the top of the world.
to get
all these rich
fame
and there's like different steps you can do.
Literal contract.
Yeah, to push like popularity, like basically selling your soul.
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
all this fame, all this money.
Yeah.
And
you hear that from so many artists.
Yes.
It's not just like one story. It's so many stories,
Facts.
which makes me believe that stuff is really true.
No, it's
Oh,
it's kind of. I mean, it's
yeah.
kind of like. I mean, it's not scary, but it's just kind of like so eye opening because.
We underestimate
Yes.
the power
yeah.
and the impact that music has.
Yeah.
Every time I tell people like, man, it's much more than
But-
music. I need
Yeah.
to relax because, like, for example, like the OVO stuff, like that represents Drake's brand represents like some type of satanic owl symbol that was in his book, and I think it was called like OVA or something like. But it's just like different representations where they try to slowly push it. Back then, it probably wasn't like it's public now, but like artists now, you can kind of tell like it's right in their music, it's right in their lyrics.
Oh yeah.
The baby with him on the cross with bleeding and the dude Lil Nas X.
Lil Nas,
pregnant,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
having
yeah.
sex with the
Yeah.
devil and it's like his music videos like it's plain and clear.
Yeah.
It
To
is.
the world, it's just like man.
Oh, that's
just crazy.
art.
Yeah, they're
That's
just crazy.
art.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
It's his
nah,
creative
bro, that stuff
outlet.
is like rituals. Like it's much deeper than that. And when people realize that, your whole my perspective.
Yes,
changed.
it
Like,
changes.
Like, what is this person pushing? You know,
Yeah.
like, what is this? What type of agenda they pushing? So when it comes to all that type of stuff, I'm just like, bro, it's a lot because it's kind of it's not scary, but to think how much dark side of it there is, like spiritually, but at the same time, it can go the opposite way. You know what I'm saying? Like people can get so dark and sell their soul to the devil and get all these like different things. But at the same time, like if you're pursuing God, you can go as super high with God and get super close to God. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's just like we battle not flesh and blood. Like it's a spiritual warfare, and I believe that you know, through our lives. And I feel like when people can grasp that with music or with television or anything like discernment. Like what do you want? Like don't say no evil thing before your eye. That's what the word says, right? So same thing go with what you put in your ears. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, how can you determine what is beneficial and what's not beneficial?
Man.
Like, is there anything specific that you're like, oh, I should watch out for that, or no, I shouldn't?
I would say, well, you have something to say, Brandon?
I'm just thinking about what we were talking about, just the message. Like people forget that, these songs are lyrically based, which means they're words, which means words have power. Life or death is in the power, is in your tongue. So these words that are being sung over, catchy beats and stuff are literally being filtered into your mind, and so people wonder why they're battling against, this and that, double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. It's this realm here. Like our greatest battle is the mind, your mental state, your mind state. That's where all your decisions come from. That's where, what I'm saying, your guidance, God leads and guides, we protect our mind. I always say, God, protect my mind, my mental state, because, my mental health is sincere to me, like it's serious for me. So I believe that, the message, man, the message of the heartbeat behind these songs are not always for, happy-go-lucky and for your benefit. Like you said it all. You said it all, like with the rituals and this and that. Like that stuff is real. They have an agenda. The devil is not out here to make you feel good. I mean, yeah, feel good in the sense of you keep listening, but in the end, there's deception and lie, and death, things of that nature. So I believe that be aware of the lyrics, the artists. Sometimes you can just go look up the history, like what have they've been doing with their life or whatever. There's a lot of factors you can get a good feel about an artist. I mean, just being general, you can, are you about to say something?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I was just recently talking to someone and we were talking about their spiritual life and where they want to be at. And they were like, I just feel like I'm hitting a wall. Like, I don't know what to do. What else can I do to spiritually grow? And I was like, okay, I looked at them. I said, what are you listening to? What are you feeding yourself? I said, sometimes you don't spiritually grow because you're feeding yourself things. You haven't laid down sacrifices. That's the number one thing when growing a relationship with God is laying down things. And some people that may be music. If you feel like, I'm doing everything right, I'm reading the Bible, I'm, in serving in ministry, doing all these things, but you have that one thing, maybe it's for you, it's music, and you haven't laid that down, you haven't laid down that sacrifice, maybe that's something that's keeping you away from reaching another, like growing in your relationship with God.
Yeah.
So,
I have a controversial question
okay.
before we wrap up. There's this old school, maybe it's not even old school mentality, but there are some people that think that Christian rap is not okay. What are your thoughts behind that?
I would say, to wrap that up, your question, I would say in short term, I can talk about this all day long, but to make it short, there's different genres, right? Not only rap, but jazz, rock, this type of stuff. But all in how different people worship God differently. So your expression on how you like worship God, as long as it's like biblically based and it's by the word, because the Bible doesn't say what type of music like specifically we need to listen.
Right.
To. That's why where discernment comes in.
Yeah.
You got that discernment, and I would ask yourself when you listen to any type of music besides rap, anything secular, this and that. Ask yourself these questions: is this talking about God? Does it match like my beliefs, my morals? Is it pushing me closer to God? You know, is it helping my relationship, or is it putting negative thoughts in my brain? So,
yeah, that's really good. And for me, like when I hear some people say like, "Oh, Christian rap, like I'm totally against that." Well, I think, like in your case, you listen to secular and explicit rap for a little bit, and then for you finding Christian rap, like you like that creative outlet of rap. And so finding Christian rap was, helpful for you, and you like listening to the, all that stuff. But for some people, it could be completely opposite. Like, hey, I struggled listening to explicit rap music, and I can't do it, whether it's Christian or not. Like, it reminds me.
Yeah, I understand that too.
Yeah, so I feel like with that, it's one of those conviction things.
No, most definitely.
That could be a whole nother episode.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. We can do a whole nother episode on Christian hip hop, but we talked about a lot of things, y'all, and different things with music, and we can continue this series or about music or different types of music. But thank y'all for joining us on today's episode. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.
Thank you for listening to the Young Talk podcast, where we talk about Christ in culture. We upload a new episode every Friday, so see you next week.